So, time to fix some boxes. So, first bug was that if we get too close, and he get too far away, he will start to do this part. So what we need to do is actually something I think we can build on later too, is that when the distance gets too far, he will like start to evade attacks, cannot take damage, and until he returns to his spawning point. I think actually World of Warcraft have something similar to that. So we are going into our um, scripts and we will find the AI controller, and I think we will need for this we will need a new bool. Um, so a bool returning returning to a point currently false, and what we will say is that let's see, if returning to point is false, then it can do all of this. But if it's returning to the point, it shouldn't do all of that. So, and then we have down here, let's say that returning to point equals to true. So when it stops chasing, it's gonna return to the point, so it's equal to true. And then we need somewhere to set it false again. And I actually think that when the let's see, setting turning to point false, um, and we should do it like when we are getting back to the spawn point. So we're actually going to need this distance to spawn point, and we're going to take it up here, and we're going to move this and take the word instead and just make it a float. And then we are going to say, well, if distance to spawn is less than, let's say, 2, then returning to point equals false. Okay, so if the distance to the spawn point is very short, then the return to point is false, or if it's false, you can do all of this, but if we are stop chased and actually going back to the spawn point, we cannot. Let's try test that out as the first thing. So let's see. Hello, my friend. So we keep this distance between us, and he turns around. I cannot say, hey, turn around, man. Oh, then he gets to the spawn point. Then we have the problem again. And turns back. So for now, that box is fixed, and we can just clean it up a bit and say all of this. Let's extract that to a method. So extract to a method and call it aggro apply. And the next problem we had was that like um, when it's dead, it shouldn't be able to move. So that's kind of more easy to work around. So what we will say is that okay, we need to get into the health component and call it health, and we will say health, yeah, health is equal to health, and we just say if health dot is dead that we made earlier, is that not is true. If you're not dead, then you can actually do the aggro. And then we go back in. Here we are. So now we will kill it. 1, 2, dies, stops, is dead. Great. That was bug number 2. And then we will take the next one. The next bug was a little more difficult. Like, you have to make some movement. So we have to talk about if we are within range, and we will later work on to that what that means. But for now, if we are within range, the nav mesh should stop. Nav mesh agent is stopped. Equals is true. And if we are not within range, take this set, well then it's false. And then we just go back to the AI controller, and then we will say so we're gonna find this area where we are looking at it, and then we say, okay, if distance all of this, then we can say stop chase. Let's see, we're actually going to do like if distance player is less than 3, then what should happen then? Then we say AI mover dot, then we are within range, and else we can actually do this, and oh, AI mover dot not within range. So if we are closer than 3 to the player, then we are within range, and this is also where we later gonna add attack function to the enemy. So let's test that out. Let's see. Oh, hello, getting close, and it will stop. So actually, when I was like working on it, I found like a minor issue that you might have, that if you on the Goblin have set these values uh, too high or wrong, it can actually makes it quite difficult to I can or like try to show if I put it at 20. So when you get over there, maybe it was not 20, maybe it's more like 10. I can't really make the problem again here. I can see that. Weird. Well, yeah, I've just found out you have to put this higher if you had a problem on that part. I'm not sure why I don't get it here. Hmm. Oh well. Uh, so now we fixed all of the 3 issues, and as you can see, he's fairly close right now. Um, so I'm not sure this will be the distance I'd like to work at. I probably want him to be a bit closer. So like 2. I also actually think that was the same we gave the player. C. And I like this distance way more. I kind of see another problem is that when we right click, it kind of turns around. So let's fix this new bug because it's kind of distracting the player. So we need to fix it before we move on. So the bug was when we are hitting and we right click out here, we are turning like this and maybe actually fuck up our auto attacking. So at least this is easy bug. So what we can do is that we go into the combat player and we make a public bool attacking and say return attacking. And if this stands as public, you can just call it bool now. And then we have to go to the camera script. And then we can say, okay, we need to use something for the RPG combat to check something. And dot combat. So in reference, we also need the combat player, and we're gonna call it C player, like that. And then we down here we can do the same method as this one. Find type of combat player. That. And then we can go down to the statement in the update and say, okay, if C player dot attacking is false or true, sorry. If it's false, we can do the camera steering. And I think that would actually fix the problem. So let's see if we can find the game. So we're testing to first. Okay, we can do it. We do the steering. What about if we go attacking? Now we cannot do it. Great. So 4 bugs completed. Time to move on. Time to do some fighting between the two targets and make our own death animation, and then we probably move on to another subject.